Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today we have a full face of first impressions of Wet n Wild. I literally made a purchase off of Wet n Wild. It is now all in this box. I have opened the box. I haven't put anything on my face, haven't tested anything out. I'm gonna dig into this box. Some things I may have tried, but I'll tell you guys when if I have used them before. But for majority, I have never used any of these products, so it should be fun to test out. I don't think I've ever made this big of a makeup purchase, like a full face of one brand ever. I have my giant cup of coffee so that we can get through a full face. And it's really cold in my room. We're gonna start off with the brows, so I'm gonna zoom you guys in so we can jump right on. So I've zoomed you guys in so you guys can see more up close. But the first thing that I have is the Ultimate Brow Micro Brow Pencil, and I picked mine up in the shade Soft Brown. Don't know if this is gonna be a good shade for me. I purchased everything online and I haven't even swatched this, so yep, there's a spoolie on one side and the actual product is on the other side. I'm just gonna fill in my brows as normal, not really creating a new shape with my brows, just kind of filling them in so they're more defined. So the tip just broke off and I was using a super light hand, so I feel like this product will go kind of fast. I just wanted to give you guys a little update on this brow pencil. It is Wednesday morning and it has been maybe 3 days since I filmed the video that you guys are currently watching, and this pencil is completely gone. I didn't even use it to fill in my brows today. I was going to, but it literally completely broke, so don't really recommend this, even though it is $3. Just off of filling in the front half of my brow, the shade's a little warm for my liking. Color on it, not a huge fan of. I like something a little more cooler and actually a little lighter, which if we go back, my brows used to be so dark. But I felt like Soft Brown, I think Soft Brown is the lightest shade that they have, and it's a little too much on the warm side. Maybe Ash Brown would be a better shade. I think this will be the brow pencil that I use for this upcoming week, just because I've literally used up all my brow products and I don't want to go out and buy more at this moment in time, and I just don't have time. Brows are done. A little more on the dramatic side for me, but this is the color that I used to have for my brows, so we're going back to beginning 2018, 2017 Maddie. While I have you zoomed up, I'm going to go into the eyes, and to prime them, pretty sure that they have a eye primer. Yes, they do, but I don't think it's tinted. So I'm just gonna go in with the concealer that I got, the Photo Focus concealer in the shade Bear Beige. They came out with new colors since I have previously purchased this, which is exciting because I was always I need a lighter shade for my pale skin. Blend it out with a brush, and I am going to set that concealer with the Photo Focus translucent powder. But first, blending out these creases. That's really the only reason why I set eye bases, concealers, anything that I use to prime my lids, is because if I don't, my shadows will crease. Because I've seen lately a lot of people not setting their bases lately, just for like a better color payoff. But if I don't set it, my shadow will crease within like 10 minutes. Like even if I don't put any shadow and like a little bit of concealer or foundation gets on my lids, or even just like a little bit of powder, I will have creases. For today's look and a lot of the products that I picked up, you will see that rose is the theme of it, because if anything is rose, I'm like, I must have it. And so the first rose product that I have to test out is this shadow palette, and this is the color Icon eyeshadow palette in Rose in the Air. I have tried Wet n Wild shadows before. I have the Not a Basic Peach palette. On my Instagram, I put up a poll on either if I should either get this one or my Glamour Squad, and it was 50-50. So if you guys want to help me out when it comes to like purchasing makeup, go follow me on Instagram. I'll have the links down below. But I went in store and I saw them side by side, and this is the one that I was drawn to the most. For today's look, I'm going to first go into a mixture of this and this as my transition shade. So the top transition shade and like the banana cream on a giant brush and just blend that into the crease. Now I'm going to take like a crease brush like this that I got off of Amazon, and I'm going to go into this rose shade, this one, number 4, starting with our rosy tones. And lately, if you couldn't tell, I'm really into like the rosy purpley pink tone eyeshadows. Like one of my all-time favorite eyeshadow palettes of this year, pretty much, well, end of last year, so far this year, the Huda Beauty New Nude palette. It's like my favorite. I don't know if it's this brush or just like me, but I'm like not really getting the effect that I loved. On an e.l.f. crease brush, I'm going to take this purple shade and I'm going to apply that to the crease. Really had to dig my brush in it, and it could be that these shadows are new, that I'm having to like really dig into the palette. Don't know if it's because the shadows are new or what it is, but like I'm not able to build up the color as I want it to, or it could just be that my eyes are super dry right now because girl has gotten like 0 sleep in the past week, or I should say month. I'm gonna take this shade right here, this one. I'm gonna apply it to my lid with a brush. I'm gonna try it dry first, just see how that is. And I'm gonna actually try it wet now, just so I could kind of see if I can get like the foiledness of this shadow, because it's a really pretty shadow. I'm just not getting that on my eyes. So far with this makeup, I'm very underwhelmed. And everyone is like, oh my gosh. Like everyone on YouTube is like, oh my gosh. Wet n Wild is awesome. I'm gonna spray my brush with the Wet n Wild Photo Focus 3-in-1 primer water, the rose one. I'm gonna first pick it up on my brush, pick up the shade on my brush, and then spritz it and apply it. Oh, that smells so good. That is what I wanted. I'm gonna go into a Luxie 237 brush with a mixture of these 2 shades, these 2, and blend out my crease. Beautiful. Mascara. I picked up the Mega Length mascara. This mascara is $3. If it works, then it may be my new favorite mascara because you can't beat that price. But it's just like your typical lengthening mascara wand. So there's one eye done. I'm going to do the other eye and then apply a second coat just so I could see how this builds, because lately I have been like layering my mascaras, a lengthening and a volume one. So we'll see how it is. We'll build it and see if we can build up this mascara. So with 2 coats you kind of get into like that spidery lash, that spider lash kind of a look. I wouldn't say that it's like become my new absolute favorite, but for a $3 mascara it works great. But I'm gonna zoom you guys out so we can go on to the face. Coffee break. Let's go ahead and go on to primer, and for that I have the Photo Focus Water Drop Primer, the rose scented one. It's a cream to water formula, hydrates and locks down moisture. My skin needs that. Blurs the appearance of pores. We shall see. When I opened it, like giant glob just squirted out. Ooh, that's very, it's like a gel-like type of primer. Almost a pore filling primer. It's almost like a professional, but not quite. And if you are sensitive to scents, I would not recommend these water drop primers because they are heavily scented. At least the rose one is, and I would assume that the coconut and cucumber one are just as potent. But because I love rose and my skin isn't super sensitive to scents, so it'll work okay for me. On the Wet n Wild website it says, this innovative formula works to brighten your complexion with good for you ingredients including hyaluronic acid to help smooth and hydrate the skin, and 60% water content to leave the skin refreshed and hydrated. It does have dimethicone in it. It says it's beneficial for all skin types. And for foundation I have the Photo Focus Stick Foundation in the shade Soft Ivory. That is what I am in the liquid foundation. Maybe a little bit too dark, but this is in the light warm. I do have a sponge to apply it with, and this is the Wet n Wild makeup sponge. The packaging is adorable. Now this is one of the products that I have already tried. It's $4, so cheaper than the Real Technique sponge, and it's a fifth of the price of a beauty blender, and honestly it is better than the beauty blender. It's softer, more bouncy. But before we put on the foundation and everything, I'm going to actually go wet this sponge really fast. So I just went and wetted this sponge. Now I can actually go on into the foundation. I'm going to just apply it to the skin and then blend it out with the sponge. So I did about 5 stripes on this cheek. Upon applying it, it's not that easy to like blend on. I felt like it was like kind of like dragging across my skin. But let's use this sponge and blend it. I was a little bit scared about the foundation shade, but it's looking pretty good. So far of how it's looking like the liquid Photo Focus foundation. So if you like that, you'll probably like this foundation, especially for traveling. If you're only in a carry-on like this, I love stick foundations for traveling. My skin right now, I am very happy with how my skin is looking right now. Let's go ahead and go on into the concealer. I'm going to use it first in the center of my face to highlight, just so we don't look super crazy with it just underneath our eyes and underneath the eyes. And let's see how much coverage we get with this, because even like Tarte Shape Tape, the Huda Beauty Overachiever concealer, I'm still like, I can see my dark circles. Maybe I just don't get enough sleep because I live off of this. And the thing with like these doe foot and the packaging of this concealer is that you don't really get a whole lot on the actual applicator. I'm gonna also again spray my sponge. I just always do this before I go in and blend my under eye concealer, just because under eyes can be kind of like dry, so I'm happy with the concealer. I remember this concealer used to be like my holy grail concealer, but then I just never repurchased it because I was just always so frustrated that they didn't have a good shade for me. I am happy with the shade Fair Beige, which is the shade that I picked up. I'm going in with the Photo Focus translucent powder. I'm gonna first blend out the creases and then just set it. And I feel like it oxidized my concealer. And I'm not baking with this powder quite yet because I want to try a new technique with setting the under eyes that I feel like I first heard from Tati Westbrook, Glam Like Guru, where you set it first and then you go in and bake. I don't think that this powder is translucent whatsoever, which I am kind of upset about. But I'm going to take this flat side of the sponge to set the rest of my face with that powder. I don't know if you guys will be able to tell on camera. It's altering the shade of my foundation and concealer. But I'm now going to dust this and bake away. I just looked up close in the mirror, in a mirror, I should say, and my skin looks great. Very happy with how the skin is looking. So I zoomed you guys up so that we could finish the eyes before we finish the face, and I'm going to take a mixture of these two right here on the Lux C237 blending brush and apply that to my lower lash line and apply some mascara to the lower lash line, just the Mega Length mascara. Now as I look closer at my skin, that foundation isn't full coverage, but it does have a really nice coverage, and I am still happy with how that foundation looked. For bronzer, we picked up the Color Icon bronzer. Now I picked up two shades. I originally picked up Ticket to Brazil, but then I was in store and I realized that Ticket to Brazil is, or will be, probably most likely be like I am putting a Cheeto all over my face. But I had realized that after I had placed my order. We have Ticket to Brazil. That's just going to be way too orange on me, even though it is the lightest bronzer in this line. I really like the shade of my Essence bronzer, which is more of a neutral tone. While I was in store, I saw the shade Sunset Striptease, which is the one I picked up in store. We have this, but this seems a little too dark for me. So my idea was to mix the two, because I feel like this one is a little too cool, this one's a little too warm, one is too dark, this one maybe okay for me, but mixing the two is where it's really gonna be. I'm gonna grab my bronzer brush and I'm just going to dip it into both of the bronzers, tap off the excess, and let's see how this goes. I'm not 100% loving that, so I'm just going to dip straight into Sunset Striptease. My genius idea of combining the two, not really, but Sunset Striptease I really do like. If you're into that Cheeto look, by all means go for the Ticket to Brazil, but I like Sunset Striptease. And I mean, like, that name is giving me life. Blush, we have the Color Icon blush, and I believe a new shade that they have in, or maybe not, not entirely sure, but I feel like it's new, or at least I haven't heard anyone talk about it, and that is the shade Rosé Champagne. or just rose champagne. And we all know the infamous Wet n Wild blush brush. So I literally just got this idea, and I am going to go in with this shade from my e.l.f. bronzer palette with the Wet n Wild brush that I got in the blush, and I'm going to use that to contour. Yeah, no, that didn't really work. That's okay, because it's just makeup and it'll wash off at the end of the day. But I am going to go ahead and apply the rose blush. I'm going to go ahead and spray down all these powders really fast using the rose spray. I am just going to go ahead and set my brows with the ColourPop brow gel, because I didn't pick up a Wet n Wild one. I used to never set my brows before, but lately I've just been into it. The girl's growing up. Highlight. This is also another product that I have already used before, the loose highlight in I'm So Lit. I'm gonna get some on my brush, spritz it, shake it. This is a warning. Wet n Wild did that. I don't think anything else needs to be said. I'm also gonna put that highlight in the inner corners and my brow bone to like brighten up this look. And I do suggest spraying your brush with this highlight, or else it'll just look like you put glitter. Just straight up glitter. At least for me, I don't really want that. You just look how much brighter this side looks compared to this. Lips, the final step of this look. I know this video is so long, but I have the Mega Last Liquid Catsuit matte lipstick in the shade Rebel Rose. Wet n Wild's like packaging, they really have it on there snug. So I just went and fixed my hair, but this look I am obsessed with. This eye, the skin, this lip color, your girl is obsessed. And to top it all off, Wet n Wild is a cruelty-free and vegan brand, so anyways, that was my first impressions on all these new Wet n Wild products. If I had to pick only one favorite, it would be this highlight, because I mean, like, your girl is obsessed. She probably obsessed is an understatement. Let me know what are your guys' favorite Wet n Wild products, because maybe I can do a part 2 to this video. Let me know. Other than that, go follow me on all my social media, which is all SassieBeauty, YT, same as spelled terrible, Twitter and Instagram. Go follow my brand's Instagram, which is SassieBeauty, as well. Go shop SassieBeauty on Etsy. All the links will be down below. And other than that, I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.